Patrick Beneil back here with you at the intermission. It's time now for part 2 of our chat with Dominic Hennig as our Around the CHL series continues. We are looking at the OHL's West Division, which contains the Flint Firebirds, the team Dominic does play-by-play for, as well as the Windsor Spitfires, Saginaw Spirit, Sarnia Sting, and Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. When we left off, we got to talking about bloodlines, how we mentioned Jacob Perreault playing in Sarnia. He's the son of Yannick Perreault, and he's teammates with Kelton Hatcher, the son of Darian Hatcher. Both Hatchers are with the Sarnia Sting, as Darian is the coach there. Another bloodline in the division, Eric Wellwood is the head coach of the Flint Firebirds. Of course, he's the brother of Kyle Wellwood. Both Eric and Kyle played in the NHL. Eric's story is really something else. We'll let Dominic tell that as we continue the interview.
Eric Wellwood is a great story. You're right. I never really even thought about categorizing it as that. But this is a guy who is from Windsor, was drafted by his hometown team in Windsor. He was a part of that back-to-back Memorial Cup run with Taylor Hall and Adam Henrique with the Windsor Spitfires in 2009 and 2010. He went on to be drafted by the Philadelphia Flyers, and he had a career-ending injury where his foot meets his calf, was shattered, a big tendon there was severed. He ended up bleeding out, or was on his way to bleeding out. They had to stop the game, and he got in the ambulance. And at that point, you're on an NHL contract. You have some assets to your name. He tells a story that he remembers signing away his assets to his family and stuff as he was blacking out. He was about to die. They revived him and brought him back to life, and obviously cut an area like that. And when it comes to the game of hockey and skating, you're not going to play ever again. So he no longer could play, and he came back to coach in the OHL with the Oshawa Generals and won a Memorial Cup again as a coach. Eric Wellwood has 3 Memorial Cup championships. Nobody has 4, and he's publicly said, I want to become the first to rewrite the history books and have 4 Memorial Cup championships. And you look at the Flint Firebirds right now, and it's like, could it be? No. Maybe. Who? I don't know. You know what I mean? So it's a great story. And so far, he took over a team that was 0-7. The team went 0-17 last year, and after their best start, now I think they started 9-2. They were 8-0 at home ice. The only team still left in the OHL undefeated on home ice. The first national ranking from the top 10 rankings for the Flint Firebirds, which is a big deal. And you start to see that Flint has gone into Kitchener and won. Flint went into London 6-1, beat them in front of a sellout crowd of 9,000. Flint went into Saginaw, their rival, won already. So the Firebirds are turning some heads here, and it's pretty incredible how far this franchise has come.
Just tell us, I guess, a bit about the strengths of Windsor and Saginaw. They seem to be the chief competition at the moment.
The Windsor Spitfires, I would say, were a sleeper team. A lot of people didn't respect them when I was talking to other media around the league, and even people in our front office, thinking that we would for sure be ahead of them. And that was one of the teams that knocked Flint off, and they were an outstanding team. I think they're 8-0-2 in their last 10, 9-0-2. They have really come on under Trevor Letowski. The Saginaw Spirit, they just came off one of their best years ever a season ago. It was Troy Smith, the head coach, who is now was relieved, and Chris Lazary is the head coach there under Dave Drinkle, the general manager. So Saginaw, again, just 35 minutes north up the road. I don't know if I'm sick in the head or not, but I wish them all the success in the world. The more success that Flint and Saginaw have to American teams in the Ontario Hockey League, that's going to help recruiting. That's going to help with agents and parents and over-the-border stuff. So I wish them all the best success in the world, and I hope it could be a Flint Saginaw in the Western Conference Finals, because if that's the case, and your fans could roll their eyes all they want and shake their heads, but I will tell you it will be the 2 loudest buildings in the Canadian Hockey League. I'd put $1,000 US on that. 2 blue-collar towns, and there's 35 minutes apart from each other.
Who's maybe another name or two that's standing out to you as guys that are going to probably have really good NHL careers?
Well, if you're just talking about the division, and no, they're not drafted yet, but I would say Cole Perfetti is a guy who for sure is going to play at the next level. I know we already talked about him. He's not drafted yet, however. I'm a big fan of Curtis Douglas. A lot of people don't think he could play. They think he's too tall and too slow. Curtis Douglas, I think it's like 6'7" before he's on skates. He plays for the Windsor Spitfires. He wears number 39. I really like the way he plays. Of course, you mentioned Jean-Luc as well coming down the pipe for Windsor. That's where they're having their success. Barrett Hayton, not with the Sioux Greyhounds this year. He's still on the roster. It's still an active name, but he hasn't played a game. He, of course, is go in and play years in the National Hockey League as well. I personally think, though, from a bias standpoint, in 2 years or so, the Firebirds' second overall pick, Brennan Othman, he played with the Don Mills Flyers in the Toronto region. He played on the same line as Shane Wright, who was the exceptional status player who went first overall to Kingston, which means Flint got the first overall pick of the 16-year-old age group this year at number 2 overall in Othman. And I think Brennan Othman is going to be a superstar in the NHL. I think he's going to have a 10-year career minimum in the National Hockey League. I just think he's going to really impress fans. He's been fun to watch, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with him.
Literally a number 1 in any other year. Quickly about Sault Ste. Marie, we haven't talked about them as much. At the bottom of the division, is this a rebuilding year for them now that they didn't get Hayton back?
Yeah, the lack of return of Hayton really hurt them. I think they were hoping for him, maybe even expecting him back. You can't fault the Greyhounds. They've been an organization that is the staple in the Ontario Hockey League playoffs. They've been a model franchise. They've done everything right off the ice, on the ice. Look at the Toronto Maple Leafs now with Kyle Dubas and Sheldon Keefe, who came from Sault Ste. Marie. Of course, don't forget about Wayne Gretzky as well. But I think they've been good for so long, and maybe it's a time where they might need to go back to the drawing board here. They'll be back good again next season, I guarantee it. Granted, they're last place right now in the West Division, but I'm a big fan of what they've done off the ice, on the ice.
Well, we look forward to seeing what the Firebirds do the rest of the year. Have fun covering the team the rest of the way. Dominic, thanks for this.
My pleasure, Pat. Thank you.
That's Dominic Hennig, the voice of the Flint Firebirds, covering the Ontario Hockey League's West Division. You're listening to Carstar, Cape Breton Eagles Hockey, 1270 CJCB.